So if you're like most people who learn ancient Greek, when you first encounter Enclitics, you're given a really vague description of them. They're words that lean on the word before them, or attach themselves to the word before them, or are pronounced closely with the word before them. We can do a little bit better than that, though. My name is Stephen. I've been teaching ancient Greek for over 25 years, and I hope this helps you to understand a little bit better how this awesome ancient language works. So there are principles that govern in any language that has clitics, how they are used, where they're put, and sort of what they do in accentual terms. So if we take a language like Spanish, for instance, Spanish has two principles that govern the enclitic personal pronouns in that language. One is that they have to be placed next to a verbal form of some sort, and the other one is that they never change the original accent of the host word, the word that they're attached to, and they don't pick up any accents of their own. So if you have something like cuida, the imperative care, you can say something like cuídate, take care of yourself. And the accent on both of those remains on qui. It happens even if you add another pronoun to that, something like cuídamelo. Take care of it for me, or take care of him for me. And that, in all these cases, the accent just stays on the qui, and the enclitics don't pick up any accents of their own. If you go back to the ancestral language of Spanish, you go back to Latin, the equivalent is something like, let's use an imperative again. So comede, eat. So comede, the accent's on the co, comede, but if you add an enclitic to it, like comedeque, can't do that. It's comedeque. The rule in Latin is that when you have an enclitic, the accent shifts to the syllable right before the enclitic. So there are three principles that govern enclitic accentuation in ancient Greek. The first is we never alter the original accent of the host word. The second is that what we're trying to do is tie the last syllable of the host word as closely as possible accentually to the first syllable of the enclitic, and if possible, both syllables of a two-syllable enclitic. And the third is that the preferred method to do this is if there is not already an accent on the last syllable of the enclitic, to add an acute accent there in order to guarantee that a two-syllable enclitic will be covered in that window. It's not always possible, though. There are a couple of places where it's not possible. It's not possible if the host word has an acute accent on its next to last syllable, on its penult, and that's because the downward slope of the pitch accent then covers the ultima, so there's no way to put another accent there. And the other reason you can't do it is if the ultima ends in a double consonant like xi or a psi. So that is why sometimes two-syllable enclitics pick up another accent on their second syllable, and that's because the whole enclitic won't fit into the three-syllable window. So remember, the primary aim here is to make a three-syllable window that will cover a two-syllable enclitic. So if there's not already an accent on the ultima, you add an acute there, unless you meet one of those two conditions that blocks it. You either have an acute already on the host word's penult, or it ends in a xi or a psi as a word, in which case you have to add a second accent, an acute, to the second syllable of the enclitic. That's why that happens.